Okay, so what are you saying, people, and welcome back to your favorite YouTube channel. So today, guys, like always, another weekly analysis for you. On the screen of the pairs we'll be analyzing today, but make sure you stay to the end of the video because I do have a bonus pair, so make sure you stay to the end to find out which pair that is. Like always, guys, we'll go through my trades for the week first, and then if you want to jump ahead to a particular pair, feel free to skip ahead using the timestamps. But as you can see, I had two positions on EURUSD, both from the same pair. One was a loss here, and that was a partial win. Was looking for more upside. We had some lovely bullish structure in this market, gradually gaining some momentum. Really strong impulsive move here. I was just looking to follow that momentum this week. Never really kicked in. Had a lovely retest of that level there. That's where I got my first entry, consolidated for quite a bit, and then broke to the downside, ended in loss. Then I had my second level of interest, which was this level. Nice reaction, did see a push to the upside. It was short-lived, hit my first TP, which is that resistance around 1.7. Took some partials, went break even, and shortly after that did get stopped out, break even there. So lost in the partial win, not the best week, but not the worst week. I do think there's still more upside for EURUSD because we haven't actually broken any structure yet. This is still our low here, which did give us quite an impulsive push. So depending on how we get there might be some nice buys at 1.68 for another move back up again. So I'll keep an eye out on EURUSD, but personally, there are the better pairs that look decent this week, so we'll jump into them. But those are my trades for the week. EURUSD, we are seeing the market starting to break through this trend line and support level of confluence here. I did say for EURUSD this week, I'm expecting to see some type of bounce. We did see that, mostly consolidation really, but we did see a bounce coming into this area of 1.07. I did say some sells would be looking decent up here. Never quite got there, around 1.08 100. Never quite got there, but as you can see, we're breaking through this area now. So personally for EURUSD, I'm just looking for pullbacks. These are my levels of interest for next week, since we are breaking through that bullish structure. We've got a broken support and resistance, and also this level here. This is like a bit of a fake out of that same level. So just waiting for some selling opportunities for this one. Hopefully we can get some pullbacks for EURUSD. I do think we can probably bounce from this level here. I'm not really interested in the buys, but this is a key level. Big push to the downside followed by a really strong move to the upside. So I do think EURUSD can react with that, hopefully give us the pullback we're after, and then get the shorts. Let me just make that a little bit brighter so you guys can see it a little bit better. So yeah, just looking at pullback for EURUSD and following this bearish momentum. Like I said, in the higher time frames, I still do expect EURUSD to head bearish long term. If we do zoom out, quickly go to the monthly time frame, you can see all of these lower highs, and currently we're testing broken support and resistance. So from a higher time frame perspective, I do think we can sell off. Now we just need to get that bearish trend on the lower time frames going, which looks like could be stepping into the market now. So EURUSD targets for me, these swing lows down here, back down at 1.05, area of interest 1.07594, area of interest 2, 1.08178. So just looking for some pullbacks into these areas, and I do expect to see a lot more downside for EURUSD going into next week. Okay, so now on to USD JPY. So for this pair this week, we're talking about some buys, and we did see that materialize. We did break through these highs with a gap there to the upside, and we had some nice pullbacks onto this level. We already broke through the trend line that we've been testing for a number of weeks now. As you can see, first test up there, second, third, and fourth briefly. Then we broke through, and now the market's hanging onto this level. Did see quite an aggressive wick there to the downside, so definitely did take a lot of stops underneath here. So potentially now we can see that momentum coming to the upside. I was on stream on Thursday, and I did say buys do look good for USD JPY above this level here, because right now we do have some consolidation. So although this is a good level, broken resistance turned support, the fact that the market hasn't yet gone bullish and is still just dancing at that level is not the best sign. Yeah, the buys at this level are trying to push price higher, but sellers are not really budging just yet. Maybe that wick could change things and we could see that momentum come back, but the much safer and the more probabilistic opportunity, the better trade would definitely be above this high. Because if you can break through that, it shows that the buys are now winning. A retest of that, probably get a nice tidy entry in terms of risk reward as well. Obvious targets back to this high up here, and we're also looking at this resistance here as well. One test, second test. Do you think that will be coming a really good level to target around 134,500. So personally for me, buys is what I'm favoring for USD JPY. We're starting to create some higher lows now. Got the first one down here, second one, potentially a third there as well. And if you can snap through that resistance, buys on top of that do look good. And you've got a nice little target there to aim for if you want to push the trade a little bit further. You've got that resistance there as well. So you can look to buy a little bit early down here, but obviously you run the risk of the market rejecting this high and now coming back down against you. So I would be patient, wait for the resistance to break, show us that the buyers are stepping back in, wait for the retest, and look to follow up momentum to the upside. So looking for buys above 131.66 and targets, we're looking at 133, 134, 400 for next week. Okay, so now on to USD CAD. So USD CAD was very corrective this week. This is pretty much all the price action we had, just a lot of consolidation. I did say some sales look good coming into the week, so we were having these lower highs. As you can see, low, lower high, low, lower high, low. So we're looking at sales in this region. The market was kind of dancing with this level a lot, breaking above, breaking down below. So definitely a very tricky pair to trade this week. We did see some resistance forming, expecting price to break out at one point, but it failed. Came straight back underneath. So didn't really get any clean opportunities with USD CAD, and we can tell because we do have this high time frame daily trend line which the market's still reacting with. You can see these high lows there, 1, 2, and now we're coming into that third, potentially third. We could obviously break through the trend line as well. We're coming to that third area, so that's where price is getting a little bit corrective right now. So buys do look good for USD CAD, but I want to see price break out of this resistance here. If price can break through that, form another high low coming to that trend line, that'll tell me that, okay, the buyers are really looking to step in, and most likely we are going to see price push through. Because if I am expecting more upside for dollar, for DXY, I do expect USD CAD to follow. CAD particularly quite strong, which is why we're not really seeing USD CAD kind of follow what the other dollar pairs are doing. But I'm not really interested in looking to sell it into this daily trend line, and also with how price is very, very corrective. So with USD CAD, I'm not really looking at this one in too much detail next week unless we see Impulse break through these highs. Then I'm 100% interested in the break and retest, looking to follow up momentum to the upside. But right now, the market's still kind of respecting that bearish structure. So there could be some more sells, but like I said, I don't really want to be selling into this high time frame trend line with how corrective price is. So we'll be waiting for a break of 1.345. Now we'll be looking for the retest and looking to follow up momentum back to the highs here at 1.364 for next week. Okay, so up next, Euro Pound. So Euro Pound, we did have a buy bias for this one, bullish bias for this one, looking for the retest of this structure here, which the market did come in. We did see a brief reaction here. This was actually post trading hours for me, so I didn't actually look to get involved, and why volume is a little bit low as well. So it's good to make sure that you are trading in session, particularly London or New York. Outside of that, the volume does decrease. Asian obviously picks up, but Asian you don't see as much movement as you do during London or New York. And the market did react with it briefly, and then we saw price kind of just sluggishly move to the upside. We kicked back in with London again. Price broke through the level, now we're kind of a little bit dancing at that area. So Euro Pound looks really good for buys. I'm loving the confluence at this area. There's also another area that does look good down here as well, so we could potentially push a little bit further before reacting with that level. But with Euro Pound, I am expecting more upside. We're coming to the 0.618 with that fib as well. Obviously with this big bullish move breaking through this high and that high there as well. So with Euro Pound, I am expecting more upside. If the market can successfully get back above this level here and start retesting it, I'll look for my buys. Or if we do decide to come a little bit deeper, test into this area here with 0.786, then again, I'll look for my buys as well. So I'm not interested in any sells for Euro Pound right now. The structure is bullish. We can see with the higher highs and higher lows here. And all we're looking now is to anticipate the next high low forming. So with Euro Pound, these are my two areas of interest. Right now, price kind of dancing on this level. It's not really clear if it's rejecting or breaking through. It did break through, but then got back above, so it's in between right now. So I want to see some clear rejection above the level on the hourly time frame. Then I'll look to enter, or if it does break through, come a little bit deeper, I'll look for my entries down here. Either which way, I'm looking at buys. Targets, probably push it back to highs here. I may not hold on to the trade that long. If I can get decent rewards, decent risk reward, I'll just take my profit and move on to the next one. Maybe even just back to this high. If I can get 1 to 3 back to that high, I'll be more than happy to take my profit and walk away. But if things look good, I may leave some to trickle back to those highs. But that's the plan there for euro pound. Looking for that next higher low. Areas of interest 0.88460 and also 0.88 pretty much on the dot. So we'll see how euro pound plans out next week. Okay, so over to Aodu USD. So for this one this week, we had a bearish bias looking for some more downside. We snapped through some structure here, as you can see, for a really wicked move after the back of NFP. Broke through this low and then eventually actually broke through this low here just about with that wick there. So with AUSD, we're looking for a pullback this week. We just about got it on Thursday, Friday there. Tested that 0.7 level, which is the level we've been talking about. Nice reaction, and we did see some nice downside. So with AUSD, we haven't really got that first lower high yet. It looks like it could be developing right now. Very strong impulse move, nice corrective move. I do expect to see momentum come through and take out this low here. And once it does, we'll look to follow up momentum to the downside, because now we've actually got our first lower high in this bearish trend. Because although we have broken structure yet, sometimes we do see the market just find life and start going bullish again. But if it does go and take out its low, then we've actually got an official lower high, and I'll be expecting more downside from that. So with AUSD, if we can take out this level here, we'll probably have a nice level of support around here, which I'll start looking to get the retest of and then look to sell at. Or even better, we could revisit 0.7 again, you know, where we got the sell opportunity this week. We could revisit up there again and get the sell again this week. Either which way, we're just looking for good sell opportunities. I'm not interested in buying AUSD whatsoever. There's a fairly key level here. The market could bounce coming back down to that, but I'm not interested after that break of structure. So with AUSD, we're only looking at pullbacks 0.7. Also, if you can break through this, I'll consider this level here at 0.692. Targets, this one could go pretty far. The higher time frames look particularly bearish on the weekly, rejecting a key trend line and a key level. So I do think we could have a huge reversal, potentially back down to those lows. But for now, we'll just keep it simple. You know, look for pushback back down to this level here. Strong push to the upside, breaking through structure. This level here is definitely going to be of some importance at 0.67500. So that'll probably be the target for now for AUSD. But yeah, just looking for some entries on some pullbacks for this one to ride that momentum. So that's the plan for AUSD going into next week. Okay, so over to NZD CAD. So NZD CAD, we'll talk about some sales for this one. We're looking for the retest of this level of support, which the market just missed by like a pip, maybe even less than a pip. As you can see, that level there, really nice support, just about missed it and came to the downside. I was also trading USD at the time, so I wasn't really focused on the NZD CAD. But it's a really nice move to the downside, and still we're seeing some strong momentum with some big candles there. So NZD CAD will look good to trade this week, and it's looking good to trade next week as well. So I will be keeping my eye on this one. I'm looking at a retest of this area here, 0.85, lovely resistance there. We stalled there a little bit and broke through for a lot of momentum. So if you come back to retest this, or even retest that level again, I'll be more than happy to look to short NZD CAD and continue that momentum. I've got my eye on the high time frame level at 0.83, which is that weekly level. If I quickly go to the weekly time frame as well, coming into this vicinity here, as you can see, lovely support resistance there around 0.83835. I do think that's probably where the market's coming to go and retest before maybe we see some bigger pullbacks. So NZD CAD, we're just looking for the lower high to develop. You can see the clear structure, low, lower high, low, lower high, new low, potentially around here, looking for that next lower high. So NZD CAD shorts, first area we're looking at 0.85 into this level here. We'll wait for some entries on the hourly, or even 0.85500, which is where we were looking for coming into this week. So that will be the plan for NZD CAD. Okay, so up next we've got Pound NZD. So Pound NZD is still very corrective. I'm not really interested in this pair for the downside anymore. Price is sort of still within this bearish trend, this descending channel. It's very corrective, as we can evidently see. And the market's getting very choppy again at this resistance. So I'm actually preferring buys for this one. Not that they haven't, you know, really set up yet. I'm still waiting for the break of that resistance. But if we can break through that resistance, I do like the buys above this level. I do think we'll finally see some real momentum come back into Pound NZD, because we're still yet to really fall. With this type of price action, you do expect the market to break out eventually. We almost got the breakout here. Market came back down again. Saw some nice momentum there I was expecting price to continue that momentum and break to the downside. Failed to do it again. Now it's back in that channel. So if you can clear this resistance, which is rejected price quite a fair amount now, once there, second there, third, fourth, fifth. So if you can break through this level, wait for the retest and longs into that price swing there, into that price swing high up around 1.94. So that's the trade opportunity I'm looking at. There could be some sells if the market maintains that rejection of that level. We could potentially fall over again. Excuse me, but I'm not really interested in the level too much. If I go to the weekly chart, you can see how many wicks the market is throwing here to the downside. So it's telling us that from a weekly perspective, this support level is holding quite firmly. And I do expect us to push higher. So even from a higher time frame perspective, I do expect pound NZD to push higher. All I'm waiting now is just the break of that resistance. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But if it does, I do think we get a much cleaner trade than looking to try and sell in this very big mess here. So pound NZD, we can see a break and retest of 1.915. We'll look for the retest to long back to these highs here around 1.94 for next week. Okay, so CAD Yen. So CAD Yen actually looks like we're about to reverse here. The market's gone from a very nice bearish trend here on the 4H, great lower lows, and now we're starting to make some higher lows. So a very nice kind of rounded bottom here. And I do think as long as we pick up this momentum, we're probably going to reverse to the upside. You can see we had this higher time frame bullish momentum. It looks like it could be coming to areas where we could see that momentum from the higher time frames kick back in. So for me, I'm looking at buys, and there is a very obvious level that looks pretty good to buy from. You can see the market was having a really hard time trying to break through this, and you can see it again this week, but finally a huge snap to the upside after some aggressive wicks down. I do think we can get a retest of this level coming into next week, probably get some nice entries on the lower time frames and maximize our risk reward, take some nice buys. Obviously first target back to that resistance, which kind of lines up with this resistance here as well. And then potentially we can probably push it, into some of these areas, that broken support, even into this resistance here as well. So there's numerous areas where you can look to target for CAD Yen. There is no one particular level that I'm particularly confident the market will get to. Obviously, I'm more confident the market will get to this level than up there. But these are all levels you can base your TPs on based on your risk reward and how you look to manage your trades. But for entries and direction, I'll be expecting some more upside. You can see how we were getting some really nice bearish momentum. However, that's all kind of gone out the window now. The market is very corrective on its way down. Now we're seeing strong impulsive bullish moves here, which is a sign that the bears are starting to phase out and the buyers are coming back and starting to look to control the market. So expecting more upside now for CAD Yen, a retest of this level just underneath 98, we'll call it 98. And then from there, I'll look for some long opportunities, and we've got multiple levels to aim for. Probably end goal around the 100, 833 mark. So that's the plan going to next week for CAD Yen. Okay, so onto pound USD. So pound USD, lovely reaction from this level. This is where our focus was for the week for pound USD 1.22. We just about tapped into that, a nice reaction to the downside. So we are looking at this humongous double top pattern here forming for pounds. Again, higher time frames, we are still pretty bearish on pound USD. I do expect to see more downside, in the longer term, purely based on technicals. So with pound USD, we're just looking for these lower highs and lower lows now. So again, if you did not enter the trade coming into the level there, we potentially might come back in and retest it and then sell off as well. Even 1.23 would be a nice level of interest, key support level. Get the retest of that level at 1.23 or just underneath 1.23 will also be a nice level to look to short from as well. So pound USD, nothing's really changed in terms of what we're looking to do. We're looking to sell, and obviously the areas we're looking to sell from are the same areas as last week. We haven't really took out these lows just yet. So if we do take out these lows, then this level will become valid to short from, because at that point, this is where the momentum came from. So a retest of around 1.21 will look good for a sell, but we haven't quite done it yet. So keep an eye out for that. That could be an area to look at as well. But for now, we'll be focusing on 1.22 and 1.23. So pound USD targets the same as last week as well, back to this prior low here. Nice healthy pullback. Now just looking for that momentum to continue. So hopefully we can see a retest of one of these levels. If we do take out the slow and pullback as well, keep an eye on 1.21, but targets will be down here at 1.18 going into next week. Okay, so over to CAD Yen. So CAD Yen, you can see some really nice momentum kicking into the market here. The market seeing some nice downside. Again, for CAD Yen, I am looking at a little bit more downside for this one. We got some nice weekly support here, which we could be looking to go and retest. Huge support, as you can see previously. The market did snap through that and maybe looking to come into that, maybe see some upside, maybe break underneath. But we know the market would have some interest around there. So I do expect more downside as well with the momentum we're seeing as well. Some really nice lower lows and lower highs on the 4H here. Lower high, lower high, lower high. Another one there forming. So all we're looking for next week is just another lower high to form. Really nice momentum if you can push into this area here, catch that next lower high on a nice pullback. Maybe to retest this broken level of support here, turn resistance. That could be a nice little level to think about around 1.625. Even back into the resistance here would be nice, or even that area here. But again, I highly doubt we'll probably retrace up there. This is a hell of a bullish move. I mean, bearish move with a lot of momentum. So I highly doubt we'll see price retest that structure. So our main focus here is kind of these levels up here, looking for that next lower high and some more shorts and targets. Again, we can keep it fairly simple, just back down to the prior low. You can see the market starting to build some support, around these areas. So just keep it simple into that level. Obviously, we do have the weekly target there, but it makes more sense just to target the lows and probably leave a little bit to run to that weekly target around 1.6, big psychological level there as well. So yeah, the plan for pound CAD is still looking for more sales. The momentum is nice and clear, the lower highs are nice and clear. All we're waiting for is some good entries for this one. So keep an eye on 1.625 and also 1.63, but more downside, and we've got the longer term targets at 1.6 going into next week as well. Okay, so pound yen for me is still a mess. We've got key support down here, key resistance here, and the market's kind of just ranging between that. Well, we are making some higher lows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're also making some lower highs here, 2, 3, 4, 5. So for me, the market's just kind of coming to this wedge pattern, getting ready for a breakout. I'm not too sure which direction. And again, I'm not really too bothered either. There's much better pairs out there with clear momentum and clear structure in a clear direction, which I'm more than happy to look to trade. Structure like this, my kind of guessing comes into play. I really don't want to be guessing with my trades. I want to be confident when I'm getting in. So with CAD Yen, like I said last week, we're waiting for a breakout from either the highs of the resistance or the lows, and then hopefully we can see some momentum come through. We had this strong impulsive move. The market's been quite corrective. Hopefully we can see something similar from that and look to follow up momentum to the downside, or even reverse the upside as well. We can buy and sell, so it doesn't really matter which way we go. But yeah, other yen pairs look a lot better to trade. CAD Yen and USD, which we discussed previously, look a lot better to trade with this one. So pound yen, I don't really have a clear bias. I would probably favor the sells because we're seeing slightly stronger moves to the downside, as we can see. Stronger moves to the downside than to the upside. It's a bit more corrective. So from that kind of behavior aspect, I'll probably favor us to roll over, but it's nothing that I would go ahead and look to place a trade at. So for pound yen, if you want to trade this one, look at the highs, 161, 500, and also 156, 155, 500. These would be good areas where you can catch a nice bounce. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy, just a nice reaction, nice 100, 200 pips, probably get yourself 3, 4 R with that. Same with the highs as well. Again, you can just target the midpoint of the range. Doesn't even have to be completely to the other side of the range as well. If I do get the Fibonacci from the low to the high, 50% is around about here. So you can just target around the 50%, take your profit there, move on to the next trade. You probably get decent risk to reward, so you don't need to look for anything too crazy. But yeah, that's about it for pound yen. It's a ranging pair. It's not a structure that I look to trade. And if you're looking to trade range, best thing to do, like I always say, sell high and buy low. So that's the plan going into next week. Hopefully we can see a breakout, and then I'll look to see if I can investigate for better opportunities in the near future. Okay, so over to gold. So gold this week, some nice downside. Didn't really kick off. We were quite corrective this week here, which we were expecting. We had a huge impulsive move. We're most likely going to see some correction. The market take a bit of a breather. Again, our area of interest for gold was up here. Obviously, did not see price test that. So for me, I wasn't really focused on gold too much because we came nowhere near that kind of entry level. These are the two levels I gave out last week, and they're kind of still the two levels that I'll look at going into this week. This high here is quite weak. Did see a nice impulsive move, but hasn't really cleared the lows to with too much momentum there. So we could see the market go and take out this level here, some stop losses above that, tap into our levels up here around 1900, and then possibly see the next move to the downside. So yeah, for me, for gold, there could be some entries on the lower time frames because this is a low high, so we could tap into some areas up here and react with that. But again, nothing too crazy. And for the 4H time frame, which is where I focus 90% of my trading at, and I'm focusing on these levels here, 1900 and also 1910. And like I said last week, I still prefer silver to gold right now. Silver's price action looks very, very neat and tidy. Gold is a little bit more messy. I think gold will probably look better on the lower time frames, but silver, that 4H level still screaming, for a retest, which I'll be looking for going into next week as well. But yeah, gold, I'm waiting for a bit more of a pullback. We had a really strong move, from this high here all the way down. So I want to see some pullbacks into the 0.5 at least, 0.618, which is coming into those areas before I look to go sell gold again. Lower time frame, sure, get some smaller trades down there. But from a 4H standpoint, I'm waiting for a push back to 1900, 1910, and targets, again, keeping it simple, back down to where we came from into those lows at 1850. So that's the plan going to next week for gold. Okay, so Bitcoin, we did see some downside finally. Price was coming into this level of resistance here, which was where we had our last major lower high, again, forming the lower high, swept those lows, new lower high. So we knew that the sellers were going to come in strong at this level, particularly because we had such a strong impulsive move with not a lot of structure, just one big move. So we know the buyers will probably be a little bit unstable, and again, very, very corrective price action. So I did say if you're looking for aggressive trades, you can look to sell at these highs here, which eventually the market did see some nice downside. So what next for Bitcoin? I do still expect to see more downside since the market is still bearish, but again, you don't really want to be selling here. Right now, we're actually coming into some support. As you can see, if I take this level across here, this is now resistance turned support. So we could see some buyers step back in, maybe push price highs slightly. But if you do come back into this 24K vicinity, I do think sales will be looking good. So with Bitcoin, there could be some short-term buys in the low time frames if that's what you're interested in from this level. You could come back to retest some of this structure. But if we creep back into 24K, I do think we can push a lot lower to the downside. Again, targets down here, and obviously targets at the lows. And we do still have targets around around 13K, 12K, which is down at these levels here. So still do have a bit of a way if we're going to go and hit those levels. And I do think Bitcoin's most likely going to form another lower high rather than just suddenly surge to the upside unless some type of fundamentals come into play. So yeah, that's the plan for Bitcoin, same as last week. Sales will look good back at 24K. If you did miss them, hopefully we can get another retest of that area. If you are looking to trade Bitcoin a bit more actively, then I do favor some buys after that strong push back to this level here. Maybe retest some structure around 22,500. So that's the plan going into next week for Bitcoin. And last but not least, we've got Aodu CAD. So Aodu CAD, we're looking at some more downside. This is similar structure to AUD/USD, but I do prefer this one a little bit more. Main reason being we've got some clear lower highs here, 1, 2, and 3. Well, that's the high. We formed the low, lower high, and then broke through key structure, broke through that low and through that prior low, which actually gave us this new high. Now we create some lower highs here, and the market looks like it's about to take up this low. So I really do like Aodu CAD a little bit better than AUD/USD. They're very similar pairs, so they'll probably do the exact same thing, maybe at slightly different speeds, and the setups might be slightly different, but in terms of direction, they pretty much go the same way. So Aodu CAD, looking at a retest of the structure here. I'm loving the lower highs with the momentum as well. That's the key thing that I'm really trying to nail home, is that momentum is very, very strong. It's not sluggish. We're seeing really pristine momentum. So if you can get some nice entries on some levels, as long as we put our stop loss in safe direction, we should see some nice momentum in our favor. Of course, nothing's 100%, but when we've seen clear momentum like this with clear structure, probability is definitely in our favor. So this is the area I'll be focused on going into next week for Aodu CAD. Hopefully you can see a retest of this area around 0.93, pretty much 0.93 on the dot. If you can get a retest of that, I'd be more than happy to sell. And targets for me, I should be looking at these lows here on the left. This is where a lot of momentum came from. I think this was NFP yeah, this was NFP in January, so we could see some buyers still sitting around here looking to push price higher. So this could be a nice little price to take some profit or just exit the trade completely. So yeah, Aodu CAD, I'm loving the structure, lower high, low, lower high. Price looks like it's about to make some new lows, so hopefully get a pull back into that area, get some sales to the downside, and targets back down to 0.91500. Potentially could look at this low here as well, but I do recommend taking some profit around the 0.91500 mark as well. So yeah, guys, that's the plan for next week for Aodu CAD. We'll definitely be on the watch list. Again, guys, if there's any particular pairs that you want to see and the bonus pair for next week, let me know in the comments down below. But that's about it for the video. I hope you have enjoyed it, found it useful. If you have, please subscribe and drop a like on the video. It does really help out the channel. If you haven't done already as well, hit the bell so you don't miss on any uploads or streams in the future. But thank you so much, guys, for watching the video. Take care, have a great weekend, and I'll see you all next week.